What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the next installment in our Doors album review series, starring Nick from Townsend 505 and Scott from Sound Lab Studios. How you guys doing tonight?
Tired from school. Besides that, good.
Doing good.
Yeah, my day's been pretty good. I had an off day today, so I spent most of my time doing some of my school assignments and listening to other albums in between. We're reviewing another Doors album. This is Scott's holding the record, which he owns, which I have a feeling he owned the album because he has a pretty big record collection.
There is a Doors album I don't have.
Okay.
It's a Jim Morrison one, too. But we're not to that one yet.
All right. Well, let's get to the
background information.
Waiting for the Sun, the third studio album from The Doors, was released on July 3rd, 1968. 11 songs were on this album, recorded in a span from November 1967 to May 1968 in Los Angeles. Most of the songs on the previous two albums were songs they previously composed before they broke big. So they were running out of material to draw from by the time he got to their third album. So they were trying to improvise on the spot some songs that they thought would work. And their drummer, John Densmore, described this process as third album syndrome. The difficulty of a band having a stock of good material capable of filling a third album. And the other reason it took longer for the recording process of this album is Jim Morrison was abusing alcohol and things were getting really, really bad on that front, and he was becoming very unreliable. But this album did have mixed reviews in its original release. What's weird, because they tried to go for a more commercial sound on this album, and other people thought the album was super pretentious. But have you not heard songs on the last two albums? If you thought they were pretentious, it's I don't get critics sometimes. But this album was a huge selling album. It topped the Billboard 200 for 4 weeks. And it was the band's only number one album on the Billboard 200, which is interesting. The album spawned a number one single with Hello, I Love You. And there's more of a greater appreciation for this album in more recent years. Some people like the vibe of the album, the mellower sound, the experimentation with other genres. So there's more of an appreciation for this album than there was back in 1968. So what are your guys' brief thoughts on this album?
I think this was a big step up from the last album. Most Doors fans will consider this to be one of their weaker albums in the Jim Morrison period. If I'm being honest, this album and the next album to me are their best two albums. For the longest time, I felt that, and I don't think that'll ever change, if I'm being honest. But this album and Soft Parade are two albums that have been fighting for a long time as to which my favorite Doors album is, and I still don't have a definitive answer, but I think this is a fantastic album. I love pretty much everything on it.
This album has a specific vibe to it that I was just really enjoying. I mean, a few of the songs do something a little different than that vibe. For the most part, this has kind of a very chill feel to it, which is very different compared to the first two Doors albums. I mean, like, yes, there's still some experimentation on here. Yes, Ray Manzarek is still going crazy on the keyboards, but like, I don't know. When I was, cause I was taking a little bit of a drive this evening while I was listening to this album, just driving through the night, and I was just like, this is really good music to just take a drive to in the evening. Like, a lot of it was very chill. One song was not. Two songs, actually. But most of this album is just very chill, and I actually kind of liked that about this album. I like the vibes that this album brings. They definitely, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but they definitely brought a particular vibe with this album, and I feel like that vibe is described very well on the album cover. Waiting for the Sun. It looks like it's like either really early in the morning or late at night, and the sun's either I'm guessing based on the title, really early in the morning, and it's just like, waiting for the sun to come up. I like the vibe of this. Matches the album cover very well.
All right, so the first album I thought was a little overhyped. I like the second album a lot better. This is my favorite of the Three Doors albums we've covered so far.
I have a feeling there's one you're gonna like even more.
I'm shocked to say that because there's only one big song on this album. And it's one I've always liked too, but man, the consistency in these deep cuts I thought were really good. And as you were saying, Scott, there's a really cool chill factor to this album that I thought was really cool. I was listening to this album while I was doing the dishes, and I was vibing to a lot of these songs while I was washing the dishes. It fits the album very well. All right, so we got Caleb in the live chat. Hope you guys are having a good night, is what he says. I hope you are too, Caleb. He also says, long live Jim Morrison. Again, kind of like, we were talking about, I think we covered Nirvana over on Ryan Cam's channel, I think last week. And I was thinking what would happen if, how big of a band Nirvana would still be if Kurt Cobain hadn't killed himself. I wonder how successful, how differently music would have been if Jim Morrison hadn't died so young, how differently the Doors career probably would have gone.
Jim Morrison is still here. You just have to start the music, and there he is.
That's true. It's like even though some of these people are dead, like you can just turn the music on, they're right there.
Live on through the music.
Yep. Ooh. All right. Well, let's start talking about the albums. Oh, that's for a different.
What if the Doors wrote a song called "The Great Mouse Detective"?
That's for a completely different stream I had planned that we hadn't done yet.
Great Mouse Detective. Watch me find some clues.
Shout out to one of the most underrated. Well, now you guys know what my second favorite movie of the Disney Dark Ages is.
I love that out. I love that movie. To me, it's one of my all-time favorite Disney movies.
It's so good.
Oh, it's so good. I wish more people knew about it. It's one of those. It literally is a dark horse movie for Disney, and I quite enjoy it.
Well, now let's actually talk about the first song on the album. This is the big hit. We're starting off with a bang. Hello, I love you. Won't you tell me your name? Hello.
Well, what's interesting about this song is that this is definitely the poppiest thing they've made so far in their discography. Some people might think that they, quote, sold out on this because it's really, really poppy for Doors standards, but not to me. It's not. To me, this is just a great pop song. Not one of my favorites on the album, personally, because I will admit I've heard the song quite a bit of times on the radio, one too many times, but it's one of those songs where I enjoyed on the album, but it's not a song that I see myself going back to too often for the fact of the radio. But this is a fun pop song. Anyone who hates this song, any like of those snobs, well, screw you, you snob. Yeah, I like it.
It's really funny. I heard that Jim Morrison wrote this song in like 5 minutes or something. He was like taking a walk, saw a girl at the beach, and was like, wrote the song. And he didn't want this song on the album because he didn't think it was good enough to be a hit because he wrote it in 5 minutes. Boy, was that wrong. I wrote a song for everyone. But this is a great song. I love the beginning with the little that little drum intro and the bam 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 bam. Of course, Ray Manzarek's keyboards are always really great. Um, the chorus is super catchy. Hello, I love you. Won't you tell me your name? Do 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 do. You get that little do 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 stuck in your head there. Hello, I love you. Won't you jump in your game? Ba-na-na-na. You're walking down the street. Yeah, that gets stuck in your head too. Super catchy. Probably the defining moment of this song though is whenever you get the sound effect, and you know what I'm talking about. Whenever you get that, and it goes from one ear to the other. This is one of the songs that really helped popularize stereo, especially on mainstream radio. Most mainstream radio was still doing mono broadcasts, but the Doors put this single out, the 45, in stereo, because most 45s were in mono at the time. They put it out in stereo because they knew that effect, that little effect of that goes between the two ears was going to be big. And it caught on, because, man, I can only imagine in the late 60s hearing that. It's like, what? Whoa. Man, like that effect, like moved from that ear to that ear, or from that speaker to that speaker. Did you hear that? But that's definitely one of the coolest parts of the song. Whenever it does that, boom, do do do, and then it does like a key change, or it at least starts picking up speed a little bit. And then the end of the song, it just starts going crazy with the hello. Hello, hello, I love you at the end. Super cool, really great. It's a great song.
What's funny is when I first heard this song, I hated it. I thought this was a very annoying song when I first heard this song as a teenager. Hello, I love you. Won't you tell me your name? That's how my ears were hearing it back when I was young, dumb, and cynical. Now listening to it, I can see why it's a great song. It's actually one of their best singles. I love the keyboard on it that Scott was mentioning. Catchy chorus. The sound effects are great. And my favorite part of the song is actually at the end where Jim goes, hello, hello, hello. I think he's gotten better with each album at belting out his vocals. As long as he's not like doing pretentious poetry, I'm good.
What if I told you that there was a Doors album where all the songs on the album he sings like he does at the end with the hellos, even the regular songs? That's his voice on the whole album.
That would be kind of amazing. Which one is that?
That's L.A. Woman.
That's L.A. Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess. Well, looking forward to that album now.
That's my favorite Doors album. Spoiler alert.
Okay.
One of the reasons is because his voice is like that on the whole album.
All right. So now we go to the next song, and that is The Love Street is Shining on Me. Wait a minute. Wrong song. Really? Why is that stupid Archie song still stuck in my head?
No.
Yeah, I love Love Street. It's another good pop song. It's like you get like two like really nice pop songs back to back. It makes you think like, oh, is this gonna be like a pop album? Well, wait until we get to the next song. We'll be in for a Rude Awakening #1. But anyways, this is another song I actually really enjoy. Again, didn't make my top 5 personally, but I wouldn't argue with anyone who does have this in their top 5. It's such a nice pop song. I remember this being in like some playlist my dad played one time. It was like, I remember thinking, is this the Doors? And then I Shazammed it. I'm like, it's the Doors. And this is like back when I was not listening to their. I'm like, this Love Street song is awesome. You came down Love Street. And then, like, what album is this on? And then I'm like, oh, it's the same one with Hello, I Love You. And then I listened to the first 2 songs, like, okay, these are nice 2 pop songs. And then we'll talk about the third song when we get to it. But I thought this was a great follow-up song, for sure.
So a lot of time people compare Jim Morrison to Frank Sinatra, and if you were just listening to the first two albums, you'd think, "What?" But whenever you start listening to this album and the ones following it, you can kind of get the comparison. Like a lot of the songs on here have kind of a crooner vibe to them, but with more of a Doors feel. And I think that's really cool. That's what I like about this album is a lot of the songs have this kind of a feel, where it's like just a chill song with Jim doing kind of more chill vocals, and I like that about it. I love the piano on here. Kind of got a little bit of a ragtime feel to it. Kind of reminiscent of I forget, was it Moonlight Drive on the last album? And I love the she lives on Love Street. Dun 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 Love Street. It's a good song. It's not in my top 5, but I thought it was a good follow-up song to kind of hold the listener's attention after Hello, I Love You.
I forgot to say Hello, I Love You made my top 5. And this song also made my top 5. I thought this is a terrific song. I'm glad, Scott, you mentioned the croony vibe of the song, because when I was listening to this song again earlier today, it almost felt like I was listening to a soft jazz song with the Doors touch. Something you'd hear on like an old Broadway style 1940s musical. Think of this as the Doors equivalent to Honey Pie off the White Album. But yeah, I do love Jim Morrison's vocals on it. The production on it is really cool. This is one of my favorite songs on the album and a really great deep cut. All right. So there is a wild story behind this one. I know Scott probably has all the details on it, but
It's right here.
But not to touch the earth. What are you guys' thoughts on this one?
Before I review the song, I'll let Scott do the history on it.
Okay, the Doors in their live show, they had this song that they had been working on for a while that they'd been doing in their live shows that was 15 minutes long, maybe 17, I don't know, but it was over 15 minutes long, and it was called "The Celebration of the Lizard King," and it had several different movements and was more kind of an artistic, poetic song that a lot of it was just Jim reading poetry and then had some singing sections, and it was very out there, we shall say. If you want to hear a full live performance of The Celebration of the Lizard King, it's on their live album, absolutely live. You can go listen to that if you want to hear what it sounds like, because they did release it on a live album in the 70s, the full thing. But when it was time to record in the studio, because like Jacob was talking about, they were kind of looking for material to fill their third album up with. The original intention was to do The Celebration of the Lizard King and put it as the entire second side of the record. But when they were doing it, they realized that they couldn't get a good take in the studio, and that part of the magic of that song was doing it with a live audience. And so they decided that they were just going to take a little snippet of it and put it on the album instead of doing the whole song. Now, someone should have told that to the art directors, because look here in the album. The full lyrics to The Celebration of the Lizard King printed on the inside of the album sleeve. So somebody should have let them know that, because apparently that still got put in the album. But this is just like a little snippet of that. It's like the middle section.
I'll say if I bought the record at the time not knowing that and saw that, I would have been like, what the heck are these lyrics? And then I was like, one of these lyrics that show up, and then I'm like, some of the lyrics is on the third song, but where's the rest of it? Is it on Summer's Almost Gone? I'm like, no. Is it on Wintertime Love? No. I'm like, where are these lyrics? And then it's like you find out you'll never hear or see those lyrics. As for my first thoughts on this track, I remember listening to the first few songs thinking, this could be a really nice album. And then I got to Not to Touch the Earth. I'm like, I remember when I first heard this track, I was like, what the actual heck did I just listen to? By the way, that's the censored version. because it was my actual reaction definitely had a couple of swears in it, but yeah, just say I was like, what was that? What did I just listen to? But then immediately I'm like, that was awesome. That was awesome. I I definitely know I'm in the minority there. I just think this is an incredible experimental track. I mean, I love me some weird tracks. I mean, I'm a big Kate Bush fan, so take my opinions with a grain of salt. So, having that said, I am glad that they condensed it into one small piece because I listened to the boot because there's a bootleg of the actual full thing, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't care for it. I thought it was way too pretentious. I'm glad they went with just one track, and I'm like, you're not Rush, you're not Genesis. I'm glad they just stuck with one and only track. I thought it was I thought it was good, but I'm curious what you guys have to say.
I also listened to the celebration of the Lizard King in preparation for this. I listened to the live version on the Absolutely Live album. And I agree with Nick. The full thing is way too pretentious to be put on a full album. If you watched it back in the day live, that would have been cool to see them, experimenting right there and before your very eyes. But listening to this on a recording, I'm talking about the full thing. I'm going to talk about Not to Touch the Earth in just a second. But listening to the full thing, it's like, what is this? Like, I just don't get it. I was almost like, am I even listening to the same band? Like, these are the same people that made Light My Fire and Break On Through to the Other Side. Like, I guess I can get it's the same people that made The End, but even like, The End has some cool jamming on it. This was just weird. Like, it's just like he talks and then every once in a while there's like a pow, pow. As for the Not to Touch the Earth section that's actually on this album, first time I heard this was I was listening to a Doors Greatest Hits compilation, and I don't know what this was doing on a Greatest Hits album, but it was. And I remember listening to it, and at first I was like, what is this? And I got into that. It's like, not to touch the earth. And I'm like, this is kind of unsettling. What's going on here? And then it got to the run with me. And I think I kind of like this part. And then it got to the end where he was just like, it reminded me of, I don't know if I've used this comparison before, but it reminded me of Willy Wonka in the tunnel in the Willy Wonka movie where Gene Wilder is like, there's no knowing where we're going. Is the Grizzly Reaper mowing? And where when he's just like saying that and saying all that creepy stuff, and you're like, it reminded me of that. And then at the very end, you have this awful dissonant chord that just sends all kinds of awful shivers up your spine, like bah, 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 bah. And then they're drumming, and then it calms down just enough for you to hear him say, "I am the Lizard King. I can do anything." Bah! And then that last chord really scares the heck out of you. I'm like, this is my least favorite Doors song. I'm sorry. I know this is supposed to be art. There are lots of other Doors songs that you could say are art. The Unknown Soldier on this same album. I'll say all kinds of amazing stuff about that. And that's an artistic song that I think is fantastic. But this right here, this is too freaky. I do not like this song. It does not match the chill vibe of the rest of the album. I have no idea what the message that is supposed to be conveyed with this song. The lyrics are so vague, other than it's Jim Morrison proclaiming he's the Lizard King, whatever the heck that means. I know that was kind of a nickname that he had. But other than that, it's like, I don't see the need to listen to this song. It's just gives me all kinds of weird vibes, and it's just freaky. I don't like it. Sorry to all you Major Doors fans who probably love this song, but
I'm one of them. But in my opinion, you know what they should have did? They should have traded this track.
Let's put the title track on this album.
But I'm saying, like, of the songs that are recorded, like of the ones that are released, I think Unhappy Girl from the last album should have been on here, and Not to say Touch the Earth would have been better on Strange Days because of how weird that album
That
is.
fits the vibe of that album a lot better.
And Unhappy Girl, that would have fit the vibe on this album a lot.
Yeah,
Unhappy
I like
Girl.
that. I like that idea.
Yeah,
Right.
Once again, sorry to all you Doors fans, because I know all the major Doors fans just happen to love this song for some reason. It's
You
just
are forgiven.
this is too much, and this is I like some of the Doors more experimental stuff too. This Soft Parade off the next album, love that song, but this is just too much. I even liked When the Music's Over in the end, but this is too much. Sorry, Jim.
As a major Doors fan, you are forgiven, as Pete Townsend would say. You are forgiven. You are forgiven.
Yeah, this one, I probably would have hated this song more if it was on the full Lizard King song because I didn't hear the full song, but it sounds like it'd be a song I'd hate more than some of the other pretentious songs they did on the previous album.
It makes the end sound like I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Oh,
I'm a Doors fan, and I actually agree with that. I really hate that celebration of Blizzard.
yeah, this one, like the song itself, if this is the best part of the Lizard King song, that's cool and all. I actually like some of the freaky chords that you were talking about. It was kind of neat. Like it was like trying to be all one chord and sounding all freaky deaky as possible. That was kind of neat, but still not a song I'm going to go back to all that much. This is my least favorite song on the album because it's still kind of a pretentious song because the lyrics, I have no idea what he's talking about here. And I think it's just artistic for the sake of being artistic. No more, no less. I will say I would rather listen to this song over the end and the closer from Strange Days because at least this one's a lot shorter. That's the only real reason I would ever go back to this song because it doesn't try my patience as much as the other two songs, but I still think it's the worst song on this album, and it doesn't really fit the tone of this album either. So
I'll take the end over this. At least you can tell it's about Vietnam. Like this, you're like I have literally no interpretation for this.
yeah, like like I said, the end. I'm like, if you stick to the main hook of the song, it would have been one of their best songs in my opinion. But the poetic rambling is what ruined the song for me.
The killer put on his boots and walked down the hall.
All right, so now we go to the next song. Hopefully, I think we can all agree we're back to the quality of the rest of the album. Summer's Almost Gone. And you're on mute.
I am on mute. I mean, for me, I thought the consistency has been good so far and will continue for the entire album. I love this song, though. I love Summer's Almost Gone. This is like such a chill song. Summer's almost gone. Summer's almost gone. It's not catchy, but it's just such one of those songs where it's just like I could just imagine like people like smoking weed, listening to the Doors, like, yo, man, this song is so chill. You know, I just love the chillness of the song. It's one of those songs where it's like, it's a song that I love the vibeness of it. I really liked it.
I really like this one as well. This was the song that kind of started I kind of like the vibe of this album when I was driving this evening. As soon as this song started, it was like, oh, wow. Yeah, this is going to be a nice, peaceful drive. I don't think this is in my top 5, but this is really just a nice, really chill, relaxful song.
Yeah, this is a really great song. Again, I love the chill factor of this song. Jim Morrison's vocals are excellent on this song. The summer's almost gone. Like you listen to him singing this, and like, Yeah, I know it's not summertime right now, but when it's summertime and I listen to this song again, I'm like, man, I'm gonna miss this season, aren't I? Um, Good guitar playing on here too. Didn't quite make the top 5, but comes very close. This is another good song on the album. Now we go from Summer's Almost Gone to Wintertime Love.
I love this song so much. This is one of my favorite Doors songs of all time, and it's like one of the most underrated too, because it's like you have this like this waltz sort of sound, and I love that. I love it's like has such a cool sound to it, and also it also is it's also a Baroque song. It's a Baroque waltz song, and you know me with Baroque songs with the harpsichord, I'm a sucker for that. And yeah, I'm gonna be straight. This is my favorite song on the album. And it always will be. It's just one of those songs where it's short, it's sweet, to the point. I just love it. I was hoping that I saw that this was on Jacob's Hits and More, and I saw on the group chat Scott liked it. So I'm glad the three of us could agree on it, because I think this is probably the Doors' most underrated song.
This is one of the Doors' most underrated songs, and it's one of my favorite songs on the album. When I was listening to this, I listened to this twice, a few days ago on the record, and then when I was driving this evening. And both times, this song was like one of the major standouts. I love Ray Manzarek's piano on here, and I love just the vibes that this song brings. And the vocals on it are really great. Jim Morrison, great vocalist here. I just really think that this song should be listened to a lot more. If you've never heard this song, this is one you should definitely check out. It's going to be in my top 5.
Yeah, I like this one too. This is noticeably shorter compared to the other songs on this album. This one's just under 2 minutes. It's a very breezy song. Gets the job done. Really good instrumentation. It's not my favorite song on this album. I like a lot of the other songs on this album more compared to this. It's hot take. This is actually my second to least favorite song on the album compared to the rest, but it's still a really good song. I'll take it over the bottom song any day. And now we close out side 1 with a song that apparently was a hit single for them, but it just barely made the top 40, reaching number 39 on the Hot 100. And that is The Unknown Soldier.
Oh man, I love The Unknown Soldier. This is another song I heard from a playlist. Not the same playlist as Love Street, but I heard it on a playlist. This is another song. I'm like, this is such a cool song. And I'm like, what album is this from? I'm like, also waiting for this song. I'm like, I gotta check this album out. And well, of course I did. And yeah, this is I mean, I will admit though, I'm not a fan of the part where with the marching sound effects and all with a that always takes me out of it for some reason. Like, I think the music in it is awesome. I love the "It's all over for the unknown soldier," but that middle section of just, to me, nonsense of just, I don't know. For some reason I don't care for it. It's with the I'm like, I don't care for that. Maybe you guys like it, but to me, that's the reason why it's not in my top 5. Like, if they would have taken that filler off of it, this would be like probably top 3 for me. But yeah, it's everything else. I mean, I love how great it gets ramped up at the end too. I love that part too, but I don't know, that stupid end part where it's just marching and Jim Morrison doing the sergeant scream. I don't know. To me, that just, I didn't care for that. That's been my only complaint on the album, though.
I'm going to be exactly the opposite. I love this song, including that section. It's actually kind of what made me really like this song, and I'll explain why in a minute. But this song is just such a powerful statement about the horrors of war. But first off, calling it the unknown soldier, that this person is going off to fight for, like, I'm guessing set in the backdrop of the Vietnam War, going off to fight for America, not even knowing what he's fighting for. And then, like, nobody even knows who he is. And he's out there fighting for his life. And Nick said he didn't like the middle, but I think the middle is what makes it, because at the beginning he's saying, say a prayer for the unknown soldier, which is the guy out there fighting on the front lines that you don't even know who it is. He might have a family or whatever and a life. He has aspirations, but no, he's out in Vietnam fighting for his life here. And right in the middle, you get this marching sound effects and Jim Morrison's yelling, which is basically him marching to his death, because right after that is the sound of a shotgun. He went out and he got killed. And the next verse is dig a grave for the unknown soldier. It's like, oh my gosh, what a powerful statement about how awful war is. I thought this song was amazing. Fun fact though, the first time I heard this song, I hated it. It took me a few listens, but now, man, this is such a cool song.
So the first time I heard this song, and I realized what Jim Morrison was singing about, and you have this like ominous keyboard and Jim Morrison's vocals singing about war and kind of like the horrors of it. I'm like, this is going to be a great song, isn't it? And listening to this album twice, I'm actually with Scott on this one. I think this is an amazing song. Probably one of the most powerful songs written during the Vietnam era. And I definitely agree with him that marching section adds to the aesthetic of the song and is primarily the reason why I love the song, because I pretty much interpreted it the same way, where you have this soldier marching to his death, essentially, and the gunshots is where he's killed. But then there's a sigh of relief at the end of the song where it talks about when the war's over, and you hear an audience cheering at the end, which signifies the return of the soldiers who survived. And so I'm like, okay, at least there's still a good ending for this song, but still a sad ending for the unknown soldier. I think this is a really powerful song. I like some of the keyboards that's present in it. I think Jim Morrison, I love his vocal work on the song, and you can tell like the emotion in his voice as he's singing about the issue at hand. And this is one of my favorite songs on the album. I don't even know why this song charted so low, because there was a lot of Vietnam songs that were written around this time. Maybe it got overshadowed by some of the others, like Fortunate Son or For What It's Worth. But I think it's a powerful song. Like, this one needs more love. All right, so now we flip the record from side one to side two, and we begin the second side with Spanish Caravan.
Yeah, this is another top song for me from the Doors. I'll say my two favorite Doors songs are on this album. This is my second favorite Doors song. And it had such a cool aesthetic to it. Like, it has with the Spanish sound to it with the acoustic guitar. It's hard to replicate it with my voice, but it's so cool in the beginning. It's like it's such a cool song. This is another huge discovery for me, and I've always loved it ever since. And what's cool about it too is that after a certain part of the song is that they switch to the electric guitar with the oh, I love that. It's such a badass song. Part of my language. It is awesome. I loved it. This and Wintertime Love are always gonna be my two favorite Doors songs.
Okay, I feel like Robbie Krieger is a little underused in this band. I mean, I know we got Ray Manzarek on the keyboards, but sometimes I feel like we don't hear enough of Robbie's guitar here. That's not true about this song. Man, that intro, Oh, that classical guitar intro he does is so cool. And then whenever it comes in and it's like that, bum, dum, 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 bum, 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 bum. I'm switching time signatures a lot there. That's super cool. And I love at the end where, well, first it's like Spanish Caravan, and then it goes like electric, and it's like, oh yeah, this is epic. And there's all these swirly sound effects going on at the same time. It's like, I can only imagine hearing this in the 60s. That would have been crazy hearing this in the 60s. You'd be like, what is this? This is so cool. I love this one.
Man, I wish this song was in my top 5.
Oh, God.
Production-wise, this song is amazing. I love the acoustic guitar, almost has that Spanish sound and like Latin American music. I've really enjoyed that aspect of it. And then my favorite part of this song is where like you get like a 2-3 second pause, and then that electric guitar comes in. I'm like, whoa, that is awesome. Now, I think lyrically, I struggle to remember this song as much as I do musically. That's probably why it's not in my top 5, but it's still a really cool sounding song. And it's definitely an honorable mention for sure. All right, now our next song is My Wild Love. I'm curious what everyone's thoughts on this one is.
This is a cool song. I really enjoy it. I mean, personally, it's not a top 5. I mean, I enjoy it, but I don't know why, but I just imagine like all 4 of the Doors members just like walking through a desert, and Jim Morrison's like, my wild woman. Well, and all of them are just like in the background. I don't know. I could just like in a, not even like a desert, but like in Egypt, like it. You could just like, you see that like swervy lines for how hot it is. My wild woman. Bum, 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 bum. I don't know. My imagination's wild, but that's why I like the song so much. It gets my imagination going. I know most people would think this is a throwaway song, and I don't blame them for that. But personally, I really, really love the vibe of this one.
I kind of had a similar feel to it, except I imagine them in like a cowboy desert sitting around a fire and singing this as a campfire song. That's kind of the vibe that I got from this. But yeah, no, I thought it was cool. I like that it's mostly just vocals with very little instrumentation on here. Definitely different than a lot of the songs on here, but still kind of keeping that chill vibe. I really like this one. It's not in my top 5, but I at least admired them for what they were doing on this song.
Yeah, I read the backstory behind this song was they were supposed to actually have instruments on this one, but they ran out of resources and they just started clapping, and they're like, well, this will stick.
I think it works better that way.
Yeah. It's funny. You all have your own imaginations on this song. I felt like I was watching a prison movie when listening to this song. They're like in prison. They're like doing some of the work. Maybe it's like one of those old school prison movies where they're on the chain gang and they're like out in the fields, all chained together, and they're singing while they're working, like in those old prison movies. That's how. But I think this is a cool song. It's not one of my favorites on the album per se, but I do like Jim Morrison's vocals. The backing vocals are really cool, and them just singing an a cappella song on the fly with hand claps. Yeah, I enjoy it. All right, now we go to We Could Be. Oh, clicked the wrong one. We Could Be So Good Together.
I don't know why, but I love this song so much, and I love it so much that it's actually in my top 5. This is a guilty pleasure song. I don't know why. Like this sounds like a hit song, and you know what's funny? This was the B-side to Unknown Soldier.
Oh wow!
Yeah, You know, Unknown Soldier is so experimental and weird. You might think, oh, that would be the B side, and this would be the A side because of how catchy it is. No, it's the other way around. And if I'm being honest, I thought this should have been not the A side. You know, Unknown Soldier good enough for a single, but I think this should have been its own A side because it's such a fun, catchy pop song. We could be so good together. Oh, so good together. I remember when I first heard this, I thought it was terrible. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, people knock on Hello, I Love You. This should have been the song that gets the hate because I thought that was their most sellout-y song because it's like, we could be so good together. What are we doing here? That's what I thought. I'm like, at least Hello, I Love You has the at least has experimentation a little bit, but this is just straightforward. We could be so good together. But you know what? I came around to liking this song a lot more, and this is a top 5 song, like I said, on the album. So this song definitely grew on me, and I'm curious as to what you guys have to say about this one.
I feel like these last 3 songs are really, where the really, really good stuff is at on this album. I mean, there's amazing stuff all through, but like these last 3 songs were just on another level. This was really cool. It felt like Jim Morrison was just like, at a club singing. And I bet you if you asked your grandmother what her favorite Doors song was, this might be one of them. Because I feel like this would be the one that would have made all the girls go, ah, whenever like he would sing that. Like, I feel like all like teenage girls would like be playing this thing and thinking like, he's singing it about me or whatever. But I felt like, Jim Morrison, this just exudes confidence, just stepping out and just, like going up to a girl, like, we could be so good. I can see him like just singing it to a girl and just being like, I'm confident. I'm Jim Morrison. This had that same kind of Frank Sinatra crooner vibe to it. And that's what I really liked about it. And now I'm going to have a hard time making my top 5 because I just realized I have 6 songs that I want to be in my top 5 and something's got to go.
Well, this song is also in my top 5, Nick. This is a great song. The organ on it is really cool. I love the chill vibe and Jim Morrison's vocals. We could be so good together. Very 60s sounding. I love that vibe of it. Great little love song. I'm surprised this was not a hit. I agree with Nick. Like, this was just a B-side, really? Like, this could have been another number 1 smash, like Hello, I Love You. I'm surprised by that. I'm surprised they didn't capitalize on that. This could have been a great follow-up, but oh well. But yeah, really great song. Really great. Well, this is another one of the best songs on this album. Very catchy. And our second to last song, yes, The River Knows.
Yeah, this is a nice song. This is another song I really enjoyed. This is another song that I kind of pushed off for a while because I thought it was just some generic song, but the more I listen to it, the more I appreciate it. Bum, 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 bum. Not one of my top favorite songs on the album. It's towards the lower end, but I still really enjoy it though.
I thought this song was absolutely amazing. The piano on this, oh my gosh. Ray Manzarek's piano on this is crazy. Like this, the way that he plays he's like doing like these arpeggio things, and just the way that interplays with the vocal line. I just thought, it kind of sounds almost classically inspired. And that this is one of the ones that I want to be in my top 5. I know I said that Wintertime Love was going to be in my top 5, but this song, We Could Be So Good Together. Those are the 3 songs that I have to choose one of them to not be in my top 5. That's super upsetting. But this song is amazing, and this deserves to be in my top 5. We'll find out if it makes it.
Yeah, I like this one too. It's a pretty good ballad on the album. I think it fits the overall tone and vibe that this album is going for. pretty good instrumentation on it. This one's in my bottom 3, but it doesn't discredit the fact that this is still a really good song. And it's a good little warm up before we get to the big finish. And speaking of finish, it's now 5-1. I wish there was 5 people on this stream, but it is what it is. We're making it do what we got.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this track, and it has grown on me significantly over the years. But this has always been my least favorite track on the album. I don't know why. I don't know why. To me, this song has never really clicked with me enough to have it in my top 5, let alone not be my least favorite. I mean, it's a song that I enjoy, but for some reason, the song just never clicked with me like some other songs have. I'm sure you two will strongly disagree with me. You're probably thinking, how is this guy a diehard Doors fan and not really love this song that much? I don't know. I want to love this song. I want this to be my top 5. I want this to be one of my favorite Doors songs. But for some reason, this song never truly clicked with me. I don't know why. I listened to this album dozens upon dozens of times. I mean, this album's was in my previous top 100 albums list, and for some reason, this song was never my favorite. It has always been on the bottom of my ranks. I'm curious what you guys are going to have to say about that.
This is one of my favorite songs on the album. I love the ba 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 5-1, baby. 1-5. Bum, bum, bum. Just that driving feel. And then when you get to that end, he's like, wow! This is where we're beginning to see the origins of Mr. Mojo Rising, which Jacob has no idea what we're talking about, but he'll find out when we listen to LA Woman. But that's what I call Jim Morrison's alter ego whenever he does that growly voice, that more grittier hard rock voice, Mr. Mojo Rising. I call him that because of some of the lyrics of LA Woman, but we'll get to that when we get to that album. But man, I just love every time he does that voice, and especially when he does a wow, bah, 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 bah. It's just the whole time you're just like, yeah, oh, it's a vibe. I love it.
Where am I leaning on here?
I did not know you were going to say that.
I had a feeling too.
God.
He was gonna do that.
This song is in my top 3. This is an epic album closer. Easily the best album closer on the Doors album, because we previously had The End, and I think it's When the Music's Over was the other one. But man, this one I was rocking out to while listening to this album earlier. I'm like, the guitars is awesome. I love the drumming on this, the keyboards. They're all geared so well on this song. And Jim Morrison's vocals, I don't know what he's singing half the time on it, but this is one of those songs where, to be honest, like with some of my favorite Beatles songs, even if they can get a little nonsensical, you can still rock out to it, have a fun time listening to it, enjoy the mood, the vibe, and the catchiness of it. This is maybe comparable to something like Helter Skelter off the White Album. Not as heavy as Helter Skelter, but as far as, the rocking out jam sessionness of it. But yeah, oh man, this song is awesome. All right, now top 5.
Okay, I have honorable mentions. Unknown Soldier, Love Street, My Wild Love, Yes, the River Knows, Hello, I Love You, and 5-1. Yeah, I know all 6 of the songs, but I just want to say this, that I really want to love 5-1 because I know it's a favorite amongst Door fans. I want to be a part of that, but for some reason I'm not. Anyways, my top 5. Number 5, We Could Be So Good Together. Number 4, Summer's Almost Gone. Number 3, Not to Touch the Earth. Number 2, Spanish Caravan, and number 1, Wintertime Love.
So I found out that there was actually 7 songs that I wanted to be in my top 5. 2 of them had to get the boot. And I'm so upset that Yes, the River Knows and We Could Be So Good Together could not make the top 5. That's number 6 and 7. I don't know in what order. But number 5, we have Wintertime Love. Number 4, Hello, I Love You. Number 3, 5 to 1. Number 2, The Unknown Soldier. And number 1, Spanish Caravan.
All right, so I have 3 honorable mentions, which are My Wild Love, Spanish Caravan, and Summer's Almost Gone would have been my number 6. That one was close to making my top 5. But for me, my top 5, number 5, Love Street. Number 4, We Could Be So Good Together. Number 3, 5 to 1. Number 2, Hello, I Love You. Number 1, The Unknown Soldier.
Well, looks like looks like we all have different number 1s.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought one of us was gonna have Hello, I Love You at least.
Well, no,
I would have thought it would have been me, but no, there's 3 songs I like better than that on this album, which is crazy.
I was to say, knowing me, I won't put The Hit as my favorite. Short
Yeah, unless it's George Strait or Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
You're usually, if it's a country artist, the hit song's your favorite.
I don't know why. It's because I haven't listened to country radio, so those songs haven't been ruined for me. So that's why.
All right. So, what are we gonna score the album?
Well, for a 3rd time in a row, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10, and it's my favorite album we've reviewed so far.
I'm going to say that I think I like this better than the debut. I don't know if I like it as much as Strange Days. It might be. I'm a little iffy on that, but for the 3rd time in a row, I'm going to give another 9 out of 10. So 3 9 out of 10 Doors albums in a row. They've been remarkably consistent this far.
All right. Let me fix the score real fast, and then I'll share mine. Oh. You're doing this on your phone, it's a little harder.
Ooh.
All right.
Together.
All right. So for me, I gave the debut a 6, Strange Days an 8. I said at the beginning I like this album the most of the 3. I can't go full 10 on it just yet because of the Pretentious song, but I still think it's a great album. It's their most consistent album to date, and I'm going to go 9 out of 10. I think it's a really strong album from the Doors, maybe a contender for one of their best albums. We'll see how their other ones turn out. And as far as the average goes, between the 3 of us, it's a 9.25 out of 10, which is our highest rated Doors album on average, even higher than Strange Days, which we gave a 9. So the scores are slowly getting better on each Doors album, which is pretty cool.
I want to know what you're going to think about the next albums. The next album is kind of a point of contingency with Doors fans because they do something very different with the next album. They add an orchestra to the next album.
Ooh.
It's almost like a Phil Spector Wall of Sound kind of thing. Not on all the songs, but on a lot of the songs.
Well, I'll tell you, when there's an orchestra on an album, I'm typically a sucker for that. And I've been getting into Phil Spector's Wall of Sound lately. So if they're trying to go for that on the album, it's probably going to be really cool.
A lot of people say it's their worst Jim Morrison album. Nick and I couldn't disagree more. We love that about the next album. I think that it's really experimental because they're, going for something new, but people just didn't like it was different. So we'll find out. I'm really excited to talk about that next album.
That's what we'll be reviewing next. It's The Soft Parade, I think, is the name of the album.
It's actually my favorite Doors album up to this point.
All right, so that'll be what we review next on the Doors review series. I haven't really checked to see if we had any updated comments. Oh, okay. We got some 3D movie cinema.
My brother.
Yeah. Hey, my fellas, While the Doors. Can you believe that they should really let their sings play by the Doors, or their songs play by the Doors, preferably at Bass Pro Shop? Wouldn't that be out of Wouldn't that be out of place at Bass Pro Shop? Wouldn't they just play all Garth Brooks, since that's where you can buy his new album there only?
No, they could that could be they could play Celebration of the Lizard there. Wait, hear me out. But like when they're about to close and they want everyone to leave.
Yeah.
Hello, I love you. Want you check out these boats?
He also says, also Bass Pro Shop is opening up in my state. I just screamed, no!
No.
All right. I don't know. I know you guys aren't big into the movies aspect, but he also says, last one for me, but what did you think of the Jurassic Park Rebirth trailer?
Well, quite simply, I didn't see it.
To me, anything that's not the first Jurassic Park movie, I'm not interested.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I saw the trailer. My brief history. The original Jurassic Park's awesome. I actually think the sequel, The Lost World, is underrated. Those are the two best Jurassic World movies. I love it personally. The
I
third
hated The
one's
Lost
trash.
World. I thought that it undid Ian Malcolm's character from the first one.
I couldn't disagree more. I hated the movie. Jurassic World's all right for what it is. Fallen Kingdom, I liked it at the time, but it went off in a direction now that I can't get behind. And I never watched Dominion, but I heard it sucked. So
I hated whatever the second Jurassic World movie is with the Indoraptor. I dreaded seeing the third one, but I thought, it's got Jeff Goldblum in it, so let's give it a try. And the only good thing about that movie was seeing Jeff Goldblum again. Everything else, the movie was horrible, and it's not even about dinosaurs; it's about locusts. What the heck? You're gonna make a dinosaur movie about locusts?
You guys want to hear my thoughts on the sequels?
What?
My thoughts are
Garbage Can.
No. Never watched them.
Well.
I didn't watch them.
Actually, I did see the trailer. It looks like they're going more in tone to the two Spielberg directed movies, and for me, that's a huge win. I'm hoping it kind of goes back to that original tone. I liked a lot of the shots in the trailer, so hopefully it brings back some of the magic that was missing in some of these recent films. But we'll see. But that wraps up our thoughts on the Doors. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to those who commented on the live chat. Feel free to share your thoughts on this album if you're watching the replay in the comments down below. And any final thoughts on this album before we move into the next one?
Wolf Doors. We're getting into my second or favorite Doors album next, so I'm excited to review that.
Tell all the people that you see to watch it at 3. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a rhyme for that, but that's the first song on the next album. I can't wait to talk about that one.
All right. Yeah. It's good that, I was a little scared at first because I was not the biggest fan of the first album. I'm like, is this going to be a rough series to get through? Is this going to be one of those cases where I prefer the Doors as a singles band than an album band? But you know what? Their albums are getting better. So hopefully I'll agree with Nick and Scott on the next album that a lot of Doors fans hate, apparently.
I think you're going to love it, but we'll find out.
We'll find out. Well, thank you all for watching. You all have a good night, and we'll see you all in the next one. Hello, I love you.